We're going to take a look at a UK activist who is putting together a protest for when Donald Trump eventually visits the UK. As usual, let's watch the video in full and I'll give you my thoughts towards the end.
Seema Saida joins us, a spokesperson for the Stop Trump Coalition. Seema, I won't bother asking your thoughts on the state visit. I can imagine what you've got to say about that. If it does go ahead, what will you do? Morning.
Good morning. Well, the Stop Trump Coalition is ready to mobilise huge protests. And it's not just us who are ready. We know that the majority of the British public is really angry with Trump. They don't support Trump, and they'll be joining us on the streets as well. And what we're trying to do is call for Keir Starmer and all of our political elites, from Labour, Reform, the Tories, to actually stand up to Trump and stop being bootlickers. Their agenda needs to be to stand up, just like China did, and China won. China kind of won on that trade war, and we need to do that too.
I will ask you then on that. Should part of that be rescinding the state visit?
Well, of course, Keir Starmer should rescind the state visit. That's what we're arguing.
Why, of course?
But if it goes ahead, then we are going to protest and mobilise.
Sure. Why, of course, should he rescind it?
Well, firstly, the only reason he offered that state visit was because he thought he was being clever and he was going to get some concessions from Trump. And actually, we didn't get any such concessions. For instance, the tariffs that we had, they were created by a mathematical formula based on our trade, the US trade deficit with our country. So these concessions make no effect. And what Starmer needs to do is show that we are not having Trump's imperialist agenda. What Trump is doing is showing the brutal and savage face of US empire that many people across the globe have been aware of for decades. And he's showing that to people like in Canada, like in Greenland. And those tariffs are having a huge impact on our manufacturing sector, on ordinary people's lives, like people in the Midlands and in the Northeast, which is where our manufacturing sector is concentrated.
But does the fact that sorry to interrupt, but does the fact that he's been democratically elected, including on a platform promising to do many of the things you're talking about, this was no secret that he was going to do this, does that not count for something? Said he's a democratically, he's a democratically elected leader of a close UK ally?
Well, the UK public did not democratically elect Trump. Our interests are not the same as the interests of the people in America who elected Trump. What we want to do is stand up to Trump because Trump is attacking us in favor of America. He's put these tariffs
Isn't that his job?
Really damaging. Well,
he would say that's his job. He's standing. He's taking back kind of control, to coin a phrase, from other countries in order to protect the people of his country. He would say that's exactly what the president should be doing.
He's actually just protecting a band of oligarchs who are around him, because tariffs are also inflationary, and that's going to cause inflationary pressure for the people in his country.
Yeah, but again, I agree with you that it's a bad policy. But it is something that he was elected to do. So you can disagree with the policy and you can oppose what he's doing, while also saying, look, he is the elected leader of the United States and it's fair enough that he comes here on a visit.
But a state visit is the highest honour, and that's actually just not necessary. Britain needs to stand up to what Trump is doing to us, right? He's attacking our manufacturing sector, and Keir Starmer is saying, oh, hi, Trump, we love you. Come and visit us. We don't care what you're doing to our people. We don't care about the damage that you're causing to our economy. That's just not on. And think about his foreign policy. It's actually just...
I've got to push back on that, because I think Keir Starmer would strongly reject the idea that he's saying he doesn't care. I think what Number 10 and the government would say is that they have calculated that the way to influence Trump and get him to behave in our best interest and Britain's best interest is to keep him on side. And if you rescind the state visit, you anger him more. Perhaps the tariffs goes up, Seema. Perhaps the intelligence sharing stops. Even more damage is done to Britain.
Well, the reverse has been proven to be true, right? So China engaged in diplomatic talks with Japan and with South Korea, who they normally don't really work with. And then they all came up with a strategy, and that China put retaliatory tariffs on the US, and that completely destroyed Trump's tariff agenda with China. The UK...
He just increased them even more. That proves my point, that if you try and take him on, he just ratchets up the threats.
No, he didn't. He paused tariffs for 90 days and he took away the tariffs on electronic chips for China because actually it
He
was going
hasn't paused the tariffs
to.
on China, though.
He has paused tariffs on certain
But
electronic.
China is one of the few countries that still has hugely eye-watering tariffs on it, which isn't surely evidence that actually China's approach compared to others has failed.
He has paused certain tariffs on certain goods that are essential to create things like iPhones and laptops. So that is that has actually.
Sorry, I'm struggling here because the UK has 10% tariffs levied on it by Donald Trump. China, the last time I checked, had 124%. And yet you're saying that China's strategy in dealing with Trump's tariff, given the fact even that it is more successful than ours, even though the tariff rate on China is 10 times that on the UK.
If you look at what's just happened, Trump has paused certain tariffs on certain electronic goods that are essential. And this is the strategy that we all globally need to take. We need to push back on what he's doing because he's trying to rip up the entire economic order. And what he's doing is punishing every single country and all of the people all around the globe. If we all pull together and we have a united strategy saying, no, we're not having this, then we can actually defeat what Trump is trying to do.
Final question, Sim. If it does go ahead, as seems likely, and you do protest, will these be peaceful protests, or are we talking about the sort of disruptive activity we've seen from Just Stop Oil and Extinction Rebellion, those sorts of groups?
Just to say, Just Stop Oil and Extinction Rebellion were also doing peaceful protests.
Yes, that's a fair point. I mean, will it be a march through the streets of London, or will you be trying to sort of sit down on motorways to stop the president getting to Windsor Castle?
At the moment, this is going to be a march. It's going to be a big and broad and inclusive protest. And also, the protest itself is not just the coalition that makes the protest happen. It's people and groups who want to join the protest.
Okay.
And everyone can be spontaneous. If people are thinking of coming to the protest, why not create something creative? Think about making a huge float or making something interesting that could get in the
Just to be
headlines.
clear, you'll be protesting against the visit, but you won't be trying to disrupt it.
Well, the point of protest is to be disruptive, right? We are going to be marching, and that does disrupt things because roads get closed off.
Sure,
But also,
but you're not going to try and disrupt the visit itself.
No, we're doing a protest, right?
Understood. Really interesting, Seema. Thank you very much indeed for coming on, Seema Saeed.
Very interesting, very interesting. So you've got to understand, there's actually more than one group that's actually looking to protest the visit of Donald Trump to the UK. Now, there's a number of reasons as to why a lot of people are speaking out against Donald Trump coming to the UK and the state visit. Like you heard the activist say in the video, it's pretty much the highest honor that someone can possibly receive. But here are just some of the number of reasons as to why people don't want Donald Trump visiting the UK on a state visit. Number one, opposition to Trump's policies and his rhetoric. Many in the UK, they view Trump's statements and policies as racist, divisive, and contrary to the values that it is that we have here in Britain. And activist groups have highlighted his comments on immigration, race, women's rights as particularly offensive. Okay, that's just one. The second thing is concerns about his far right influence. We've seen Donald Trump emboldening far right movements both in the US and internationally as well. And protesters worry that his visit could encourage similar groups right here in the UK. One of the other reasons as well is anger over his handling of Ukraine and the NATO policies and the things he's been saying about Europe as well. So Trump's recent decision to halt US military aid to Ukraine, it's massively unpopular right here in the UK because America is meant to be one of the biggest backers and the biggest allies of Ukraine as well, and his critical stance on NATO is seen as undermining everything that it is that we have here in Europe in terms of security and the US-UK alliance. So these are just some of the reasons as to why a lot of people are going to be actually taking to the streets and protesting Donald Trump actually visiting the UK. And guess what? I'm right there with them. I don't believe that a man like him should be given the highest honor, which is a state visit to visit the actual royals themselves. But let me know your guys' thoughts thoughts in the comment section below this video as per usual. You know, I always like to hear from you guys. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up button purely for the YouTube algorithm. Let's get the video in front of as many people as possible. And last but not least, if you're brand new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notification so that you get notified every time we upload a brand new video. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one.